giant sculptures, an island in the middle of the Pacific, and an enigma about the reason for its construction. In 1722, 3 ships commanded by Dutch captain Jacob Roggeveen sighted a low, flat island in the Pacific, 3,760 kilometers off the coast of South America. Since that day was Easter Sunday, they named it Easter Island. When the Dutch landed, they discovered that, despite its remote location, it was inhabited. A group of people lived there today called Rapanui, after the name its members gave to the island, Rapa Nui. But what truly amazed European navigators were the enormous stone statues scattered along the coast and inland of the island, which cover an area of 171 square kilometers. These giants, known as Moai, reached 10 meters in height and weighed 80 tons and stood on large altars called ahu, made of basalt slabs. The Moai, numbering nearly 1,000, have an unmistakable style. They comprise a head with 2 large ears, shoulders and upper arms. Their faces feature a prominent nose, and some wear strange stone headdresses. The Moai were all the more impressive because it was difficult to understand how the island's small, poor population had been able to erect them. This was observed by the famous English explorer James Cook when he arrived at the site in 1774, 4 years after the sailor Felipe González de Haedo placed the island under the rule of the King of Spain, Charles III, for which he named it Isla de San Carlos. Captain Cook spent very little time there, but expressed his admiration for the people who created the statues. We can hardly conceive how these islanders were able to erect such statues and later place the enormous cylindrical blocks of stone on top of their heads. The mystery of the construction of the stone colossi of Easter Island persisted for a long time. In fact, it wasn't until the beginning of the 20th century that the question was thoroughly investigated. The decisive contribution came from British scholar Catherine Routledge, 1866 to 1935, one of the first women to graduate in archaeology from Oxford. A specialist in black African societies, in 1910 she and her husband, William Routledge, decided to organize a scientific expedition to Easter Island. They procured a 27-meter-long ship and departed from England in 1913. After a long journey that took them to Patagonia and Brazil, they arrived at Easter Island on March 29, 1914. There, Catherine excavated and catalogued Moai statues, altars and platforms. She also interviewed the natives and gathered abundant information on ancient myths and legends in her notebooks. When visiting the quarry in the Rano Raraku volcano crater, one of the 3 used by the islanders to extract the rock used to build the Moai, what most caught the researchers' attention was the large number of sculptures lying there. Some 394, many unfinished or half-buried. There lie half-sculpted statues, just as they were abandoned when, for some unknown reason, the workers left their tools and the scene fell silent. Catherine also studied the mysterious hieroglyphic writing engraved on stone tablets or slabs, known as Rongo Rongo, which has yet to be deciphered, as well as the designs etched into the bases of the sculptures. Catherine compared them to the tattoos worn by the islanders, and their resemblance led her to correctly conclude that those who sculpted the large statues were the direct ancestors of the island's modern inhabitants. The Routledges left the island in 1915, and Catherine published her findings in 1919 in the book The Mystery of Easter Island. Routledge hypothesized that an ecological disaster was the cause of the crisis in Easter Island society. This idea has been confirmed by subsequent researchers who have reconstructed the different phases of the island's history and analyzed its archaeological heritage. Among them are the Norwegian biologist and explorer Thor Heyerdahl, who organized an expedition in 1956, as well as the American anthropologist William Malloy and his disciple Charles Love in the 1970s. Thanks to all of them, we now know that Polynesian navigators colonized Easter Island around 500 AD. From 1000 to 1500, the island enjoyed a period of prosperity, during which great altars with their enormous statues were erected. These represented the spirits of the ancestors, and before them, the natives celebrated rites and ceremonies. Around them rose the collective houses, oval in shape, with stone walls and roofs of wood and plant materials. But between 1500 and 1722, the island's clans clashed, and the chiefs competed to build ever larger Moai. The enormous expenditure of stone and wood caused an ecological collapse. Thus, ancestor worship ended, and a new warrior caste took power. The Ahu were abandoned, and the Moai were toppled. It was this impoverished and crisis-ridden society that the first Europeans to arrive on Easter Island encountered.